Good morning, and today we are here to discuss about powder metallurgy. What do you mean by powder metallurgy, or also known as what is powder metallurgy? Powder metallurgy is a value-added engineering process for forming metal parts by heating compacted metal powders to just below their melting points. The heat treatment is called sintering process. And although the process has existed for more than 100 years, over the past quarter century, it has become a widely recognized and a superior way of producing a high quality parts. So then, what does the powder metallurgy process offers over the other metal forming technologies? Let us see. So it helps in forging and metal casting and metal utilization process, shape complexity process, near net shape dimensional control, and many more. So powder metallurgy comprises of several different consolidation process for fabricating semi-dense and fully dense components. They are the conventional powder metallurgy process, which is referred to as press and sinter, whereas the metal injection molding process also comes under this, and we can see the hot isostatic pressing, powder forging, and now metals that comes under additive manufacturing process, also known as metal 3D printing, will be carried out under this powder metallurgy process. And additional metal powders process including spray forming, roll compaction, rapid solidification also perform under this process. So let us see the history of powder metallurgy. So the history, if you come across the history of powder metallurgy, the history of powder metallurgy and the art of metals and ceramics sinterings are intimately related to sintering involves the production of hard solid metals or ceramics pieces from a starting powder. There is evidence that iron powders were fused into hard objects as early as 1200 BC. In these early manufacturing operations, iron was extracted by hand from metal sponge. Following the reduction, iron was then reintroduced as a powder for final melting or sintering process. So powder metallurgy has been called a lost art. Unlikely clay and other ceramic materials, the art of molding and firing particle or decorative metallic objects was only occasionally applied during the early stage of recorded history. Sintering of metal was entirely forgotten during the succeeding centuries, only to be revived in Europe and at the end of the 18th century when various methods of platinum powder production were recorded. So metal powders such as gold, copper and bronze and many powdered oxides were used for decorative purpose in ceramics as a basis for the paints and inks. And in cosmetics, since the beginning of the recorded history, this was most of the decorative apparatus like necklaces, earrings at that time are mostly or small in size, especially for cosmetic purpose. Usually those iron oxide are used as a pigment for the decorative equipment to make it looking more attractive and creative. So let us start with the steps which are involved in the powder metallurgy. So steps under this powder metallurgy, we can find there are various four different steps we can see under this powder metallurgy, that is powder production, compaction, then sintering process, secondary operations. So these are the various steps which are involved under this powder metallurgy. So first one, let us start with the first one, powder productions. Here we are going to convert the raw materials into finished powders. That is, powder can be either of pure elements will get or pure alloyed powders we can get. For So what are the methods we are using for making of powders? So here we are using automation process. So under automation process, we are going to produce the powders of both ferrous and non-ferrous powders like stainless steel, superalloys, and titanium alloys powders we can able to produce under this automation process, which comes under product production. And the next type of product production process is reduction of compounds, where we are using to produce iron powders, copper powders, tungsten powders, and molybdenum powders. And last one is a chemical method, that is electrolysis process, which already we know. When we were in high school, we discussed about electrolysis process. Even in PU, in chemistry, we discussed about electrolysis process. And even first year engineering, we have come across this process for making a process. And here also, again, we are in the third semester. When we were in third semester, we studied about this process in metal science and metallurgy. So again, we are learning this process, that is known as electrolysis process. So electrolysis process used to convert or to get copper, iron, and silver powders. So powders along with additives are mixed using mixes, and lubricants are added prior to mixing to facilitate easy ejection of compact and also to minimize wear of tools. Waxes, metallic serrates, graphites, etc. Powder characterizations depends on size. So powder characterization depends on size, flow, density, and compressibility tests. So next one is a compaction process. So next step is a compaction, as I told. So compaction is performed using dies machined to close tolerances. Dies which usually made up of cemented carbides or tool steels, which are pressed using hydraulic or mechanical process. The basic purpose of compaction is to obtain a green compact with sufficient strength to withstand further handling operations. The green compact is then taken into sintering, where the hot extrusion or hot pressing or also hot isostatic pressing at a consolidation with a high temperature will be takes place. And under a compaction process, we can see we are going to compact the required or given things into the powder form. And the next process is a sintering process, which are performed at a controlled atmosphere to bond atoms metallurgically. Bonding occurs by diffusion of atoms done at 70% of absolute temperature, melting point of materials, of a melting point temperature of materials. It serves to consolidate the mechanically bonded powders into coherent body, which is having a desired on service behavior. And the densification occurs during the process, and improvement in physical and mechanical properties are seen under sintering process. Here the furnace we are using is a mesh built furnace, and the temperature withstandability is up to 1200 degrees Celsius. And we have batch type furnace also we can use, we have that facility. So the and usually we use to maintain the protective temperature and the gas, and we are using nitrogen as a gas in a wider manner under sintering process. And next one is the secondary operations. So these are the operations which include repressing, regrinding, plating, and they are used to ensure dimensional tolerances or good surface finish, or increasing the density and corrosion resistance. Yes, let's see the first process, that is powder production. As we discussed, so automation process, reduction of compounds, electrolysis, and compaction you can see here. And classification of powder production methods. So powder production methods are classified into three different categories. One is, or the first one is mechanical methods, second one is a physical methods, and last one is a chemical methods. So let's start with the first process or first category or first type of powder production method, that is mechanical method. So mechanical method is the cheapest of powder production methods. These methods involve using mechanical forces such as compressive forces, shear or impact to facilitate particle size reduction of bulk material. Example is milling. So during milling, impact, attrition, shear and compression forces are acted upon the particles. During impact, the striking of one powder particles against the other occurs. Whereas in case of attrition, so here attrition refers to the production of wear debris due to the rubbing action between two particles. And next one is, as I told, shear. Shear refers to cutting of particles resulting in fracture. The particles the particles are broken into fine particles by squeezing action in compression force type. And we have some objectives under this mechanical type of powder production, that is under which comes under milling process. So here particle size reduction, the main purpose is to reduce the particle size or particle size growth or shape change or agglomeration, that is joining of particles together, or solid state alloying, mechanical or solid state mixing, modification of metals property. And some mechanisms we are using, that is under milling process. So that is change in where usually when the changes occurs in with respect to the morphology of the powder particles during milling results in the following events. That is, first one is a microforging, and second one is a fracture, third one is a agglomeration, and last one is a deagglomeration. Let us see one by one what do you mean by microforging. So in microforging, the individual particles or group of particles are impacted repeatedly so that they flatten with very less change in mass. Fracture, individual particles deform and cracks initiate and propagate, resulting in fracture. So next one is agglomeration. Here the mechanical interlocking due to atomic bonding or van der Waals forces will exist. What do you mean by deagglomeration? Deagglomeration means a breaking of agglomerates. The different powder characteristics influenced by milling are shape, size, texture of particles, and particle size distribution, crystalline size, chemical composition, hardness, density, flowability, compressibility, sinterability, and sinter density. So milling equipments. So milling equipments, we can see first one. These the equipments are generally classified as crushers and mills. Crushing for making ceramic materials such as oxides of metals. We are using crushing process. Grinding for reactive metals such as titanium, zirconium, niobium and tantalum. We are using grinding process. Under grinding process, we have different types of grinding equipments. And that first one is a jaw crusher. Jaw crusher is widely used to crush metal into medium sized in the first crushing process of ore rocks. So your rocks would get be ready for secondary crushing. It had a wide range of suitable materials such as granite, marble, basalt, limestone, quartz, pebble, iron ore, copper ore, and so on. The jaw crusher is applicated in mining, metallurgy, building, or in a construction process, or in a highway build-up process, railways, and in water conservancy, and also in chemical industries. We can find the jaw crushers. Here, we can find two types of jaw crushers. One is single toggle jaw crusher and double toggle jaw crusher, and third one is jaw crusher for sale. Sorry, jaw crusher. So two types. One is single jaw, that is single toggle jaw crusher, and double toggle jaw crusher. So single toggle jaw crusher is very suited for the portable crushing platform, have obvious advantages of mechanical simplicity, ease of maintenance, and adjustments besides. high processing capability, and high reduction ratio also can account for its popularity, but its wear consumption is higher than double toggle jaw crusher machines of same capability and reduction ratio. And second one, double toggle jaw crusher. That is, first Blake jaw crusher invented as a double toggle jaw crusher, and small movement act on the receiving end of the chamber can produce a powerful crushing force to large rock stones. The upgraded modern ear eccentric jaw crusher has shown that using a swing jaw which is suspended on the eccentric shaft which with heavy duty double roll spherical roller bearings on a curved jaw plate can do help of crusher non-choke. This curvity may be reduce the effective input opening range but doesn't avoid over tramp blocking and thus increasing the capacity. So what are the advantage or why we need to choose the jaw crushers? It is a simple and convenient to use to take place or perform the operations at low operation cost and high crushing ratio. Crushing cavity depth and no build spot will increases the feeding ability and its capacity. So next one is a gyrator crusher. Gyrator crusher were invented by Charles Brown in the year 1877 and developed by Mr. Gates, around 1881 and were referred to as a Gates crushers. Also, first the pioneer is gyratory crusher, so that is means Charles Brown, and later it is been developed by Mr. Gates. Later it's known as Gates crusher. Gyratory crusher is also known as Gates crusher. The smaller form is described as a cone crusher. Also, it can also be described as small. If a size is small, then we'll say it's a cone crusher. The larger crushers are normally known as primary crusher as they are designed to receive run on mine rocks directly from the mines. These gyratory crushers used crush to reduce the size by a maximum of about 1 ton size. Usually, metallurgical operations require greater size reduction. Hence, the product from the primary crushers are conveyed to secondary crushers or cone crushers, where further reduction in size takes place, and the maximum reduction ratio is about 8 is to 1. In some cases, installation of territory crushers is required, where maximum reduction is about 10 is to 1 under gyrator crusher. The secondary crushers are also designed on the principle of gyrator crushing, but constructions of the secondary crushers will vary when compared to primary crushers, and similarly to the jaw crusher, the mechanism of size reduction in gyrator crusher is primarily by the compressive action of two pieces of steel against the rock. As the distance between the two plates decreases, the continuous size reduction takes place. Gyratic crushers tolerate a variety of shapes of feed particles, including slabby rocks, which are not readily accepted in jaw crushers because of the shape of the feed opening. And next type of crusher is roll crushers. So roll crushing of the sledging type have a crushing action, unlike that of any of the machines thus far described. Moreover, the actions of the single and double roll forms of this are dissimilar, at least in the relative importance of impact and sledging action. Both types employ a combination of these two actions but in a reversed order of efficiency. Or, so as a sledging blow transfers a large part of its force by impact, it may seem anomalous to attempts to differentiate these terms. Nevertheless, there is a convenient distinction between them as They apply the action of crushing machine. Impact crushing is customarily taken to mean the breaking of pieces of material by a sharp blow delivered with sufficient force to shatter the piece while it is in a free position, that is, not restricted from a moving from a blow. Other than other than this, own inertia, sledging, while the blow may be away from the applied force. By this reason of being in contact with the opposing crushing surface, either fixed or moving. And next one, next process is a ball milling process. So for ball milling contains a cylindrical vessel rotating horizontally along the axis. Length of the cylinder is more or less equal to diameter. The vessel is charged with the grinding media, and the grinding media may be made of hardened steels or tungsten carbides. Ceramics like agate, porcelain, alumina, zirconia during are used during rolling of vessels. The grinding media and powdered particles roll from some heights. This process grinds the powder materials by impact or collision and attrition. So here in milling, here under bar milling, milling can be dry milling or wet milling. Under dry milling process, about 25% of volume of a powder is added along with about 1 weight% of lubricants such as stearic acid or oleic acid. And the second case, for wet milling, about 30 to 40% of the volume ratio of powder with 1% of dispersing agent such as water or alcohol or hexane is employed or mixed to perform the operations. The optimum diameter of the mill for grinding powder is about 250 mm under ball milling process. And the next process is vibratory ball milling or vibratory ball mill. So fine powder particles need large periods of periods for grinding. In this case, vibratory ball milling is better. Why? Because here high amount of energy is imparted to the particles and milling is accelerated by vibrating the container. This mill contains an electric motor connected to a shaft of drum by an elastic coupling. The drum is usually lined with a wear resistance material. During operation, 80% of the container is filled with grinding bodies and the starting material and in this vibratory motions is obtained by an eccentric shaft that is mounted on a frame inside the mill. The rotation of eccentric shafts causes the drum of vibrating mill to oscillate. In general, vibration frequency under vibratory ball milling process is equal to 1500 to 3000 oscillation per minute. The amplitude of oscillation is 2 to 3 mm. The grinding body is made of steel or carbide balls that are 10 to 20 mm in diameter. The mass of a ball is 8 to 10 times the size of charged particles. And we can obtain the particle size of order of 5 to 100 microns under vibratory ball milling process. And next one is a attritor or attrition milling process. In this case, the charging is ground to fine size by the action of vertical shafts with side arms attached to each. The ball to charge ratio may be varies from 5 is to 1 or 10 is to 1 or 15 is to 1. This method is more efficient in achieving a fine particle size. And next one is a rod milling process. Here the horizontal rods are used instead of balls to grind the particles, and the granularity of the discharging material is about 40 to 10 mm. So mill speed varies from 12 to 30 rpm here. And next process is a planetary milling. So planetary milling, a high energy mill widely used for producing metal alloy and composite powders. Next is a chemical method. Under chemical method, we are going to discuss about electrolysis process. In this method, the processing conditions are so chosen that metals of high purity are precipitated from aqueous solution on the cathode of an electrolytic cell. This method is mainly used for producing copper powders, iron powders, and this method is also used for producing zinc, tin, nickel, cadmium, antimony, silver, lead, beryllium powders. So copper powders are used as a solution containing copper solutions. They containing solution which is containing a copper sulfate and sulfuric acid or crude as a crude copper and which is used as a anode here. Reactions, that is copper, you can see the reactions, and the iron powder is used here as a anode which is having a low, here we are using a low carbon steel, and cathode is a stainless steel. Anode we are using low carbon steel, and cathode we are using a stainless steel in this powder when we are going to convert the iron from iron particles to iron powder. The iron powder deposits are subsequently pulverized by milling in hammer mill. The milled powders are annealed in hydrogen atmosphere to make them soft. And we are using this electrolysis deposition process to convert the magnesium particles into magnesium powders. That is electrode deposition process from a purified magnesium sulfate electrolytic electrolyte using insoluble lead anodes and stainless steel cathodes. Powders of thorium, tantalum, vanadium are fused and the salt electrolysis is carried out at a temperature below melting point of metals. Here, deposition will occur in the form of small crystals. In this method, final deposition occurs in three ways. A hard brittle layer of pure metal which is subsequently milled to obtain powders, that is example iron powder. And in the second case, our second way of forming a powder is a soft spongy substance which is loosely adherent and easily removed by scrubbing. And third one, a direct powder deposition from the electrolyte that collects at the bottom of the cell. And some factors promoting the powder deposits are high current density, low metal concentration, and pH value of the bath, and low temperature, high viscosity, circulation of electrolyte to avoid the convection process. And some advantages under this process are powders of high purity with excellent sinterity can be obtained. Wide range of powder quality can be produced by altering bath compaction. And the same way we have some disadvantages. That is, the process is time consuming, pollution of workplace because of toxic chemicals, waste disposals is another issue, and cost involves in oxidation of powder, and hence they should be washed thoroughly. Next one is our physical method. Under physical method, we can see the atomization process. So this is used with a high pressure fluid jets to break up a molten metal stream into very fine droplets, which then solidify into fine particles. A high quality powders, that is aluminum, brass, iron, stainless steel, tool steel, superalloys, are produced commercially. And types of atomization, that is water atomization, gas atomization, soluble gas or vacuum atomization, centrifugal atomization, rotating disk atomization, ultra pit solidification process, ultrasonic automation. These are the various types of automation process we can see in our industrial applications. So what are the mechanisms which are involved in automation process? In conventional or gas or water type of automation, a liquid metal is produced by pouring molten metal through a tundish with a nozzle at its base. The stream of liquid is then broken into droplets by the impingement of high pressure gas or water. This disintegration of liquid stream is shown in the figure. This has five stages: formation of wavy surface of the liquid due to small disturbances, and wave fragmentations and ligament formation, and disintegration of ligament into fine droplets. And the fourth one is further breakdown of fragment into fine particles. And the last one is collision and coalescence of particles. The interaction between jets and liquid metal stream begins with the creation of small disturbances at liquid surfaces, which grow into shearing forces that fragment the liquid into ligaments. The broken ligaments are further made to fine particles because of high energy in impacting jet. Lower surface tension of molten metal, high cooling rate will lead to formation of irregular surface like in the water atomization. High surface tension, low cooling rates will result in spherical formations. So types of automation, as I told, automation of molten metal can be done in different ways depending upon the factors like economy and required power characteristics. At present, water or gas automation medium can be used to disintegrate molten metal stream. The various types of automation techniques are used, that is water automation. High pressure water jets are used to bring about the disintegration of molten metal stream. Water jets are used mainly because of their high viscosity and quenching ability. This is an inexpensive process and can be used for small or large scale production. But water should not chemically react with metal or alloys which is used. And next one is a gas atomization process. Here, instead of water, high velocity argon, nitrogen, and helium gas jets are used. The molten metal is disintegrated and collected as atomized powder in water bath. Fluidized bed cooling is used when certain powder characteristics are required. Vacuum automation. Next one is a vacuum automation process. In this method, when molten metal supersaturated with a gas under pressure is suddenly exposed into vacuum, the gas coming from the metal solutions expands, causing atomization of a metal stream. This process gives very high purity powder. Usually, hydrogen is used as gas. Hydrogen and argon mixture can also be used here. And next one is a centrifugal atomization. In this method, one end of the metal bar is heated and melted by bringing it into contact with a non-consumable tungsten electrode while rotating it longitudinally at a very high speeds. The centrifugal forces creates the causes the metal drops to be thrown off outwards. This will then be solidified as spherical shaped particles inside an evacuated chamber. Titanium powder can be made using these techniques. Rotating next type is a rotating disk automation, impinging of a stream of molten metal onto the surface of a rapidly spinning disk. This causes mechanical automation of metal stream and causes the droplets to be thrown off the edges of the disk. The particles are spherical in shape in and their sizes decreases with increasing disk speed. And last one is ultra rapid solidification process. A solidification rate of 1000 degrees Celsius is per second is achieved in this process, and this results in enhanced chemical homogeneity, formation of metastable crystalline phase amorphous material. And automation units, you can see the automation units here. That is, the first one is melting and superheating facility. So standard melting furnace can be used for producing a liquid metal. This is usually done by air melting, inert gas, or vacuum induction melting. Complex alloys that are susceptible to contamination or melted in vacuum induction furnace, the metal is transferred to a tin dish, which serves as a reservoir for molten metal. And automation chamber. An automation nozzle system is necessary. The nozzle, you can see the nozzle, there are two types of nozzle, twin jet nozzle and annular jet nozzle. So an automation nozzle system is necessary. The nozzle that controls the size and shape of the metal stream is fixed at the bottom of a automation chamber in order to avoid the oxidation of powders. The tank is purged with inert gas like nitrogen. So automation nozzle functions of this is it is to control the flow and the pattern of automizing medium to provide for efficient disintegration of powders. For a given nozzle design, the average particle size is controlled by the pressure of the atomization medium and also by the apex angle between the axis of the gas jets. Higher apex angle leads to smaller particle size. Apex angle of water automation is smaller than for gas automation. So nozzle design uh, can be differentiated. Like first one is annular type, discrete jet type, and next one is free falling or confined design. In free falling, molten metal comes in contact with the atomizing medium after some distance. Here, free falling of metal is seen. This is mainly used in water atomization. In confined design, used with annular nozzle, automation at the exit of nozzle. Gas atomization is used generally for this. This has higher efficiency than free falling type. And powder collection tank. Under this automation, the last process is powder collection tank. The powders are collected in tank. It could be dry collection or wet collection. In dry collection, the powder particles solidify before reaching the bottom of the tank. In wet collection, powder particles are collected in the bottom of the water tank. The tank has to be cooled extremely if used for large scale production. During operation, the automation unit is kept evacuated to 10 to the power of minus 3 mm of mercury tested for leak and filled with argon gas. So what are the importance of this automation technique? The production of high grade metal powders with spherical shape or high bulk density and flowability along with the low oxygen content and high purity of metals can be collected or can be manufactured here. So this about the powder production, powder introduction, powder metallurgy and production techniques. So I will stop here in this by today, and in the next class I am going to discuss about characteristic techniques and powder shaping and application of powder metallurgy. Thank you all for your patience listening. And if you have any queries, you can call me or you can WhatsApp me. I will clarify your doubts. Thank you all.